Hi there, it's December 21st and it feels so late, but it's only 9:30. Um anyway, I just can't stop laughing. I've tried to make this video a couple times now and I forgot to hit record, so I just have no idea what I've said. Anyway, what I wanted to do is give an update on my poor little tooth. Last night, somebody had given me this honey lollipop at a trade show that I was in, and she said, make sure you suck it and you don't chew it. And of course, I chewed it because I chew everything. I chew ice, I chew hard candy, anything that goes in my mouth, I chew. So, anyway, my crown fell out, which was very, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe the feeling that your tooth is stuck in something and it's in your mouth somewhere. Anyway, I soaked it in hot water and proceeded to finish the honey lollipop because I'm not going to throw it out. It was good. Anyway, before I went to bed, I just thought, I wonder if I can get my crown in by myself. And I did, which sounds like good news, but because I had eaten sugar before bed, I don't know how much sugar is now trapped under this little crown, which means, and I can't get it out. Like, I've tried, other than getting pliers, which probably isn't a good idea. Me and pliers probably don't mix well. So I get to go to the dentist and get it pulled off, and then they get to reglue it and put it back on. So, yay me. No, I love my dentist, but I don't like going to see her because it's just, who likes to go to the dentist? Anyway, um, I'm so excited to share the upswing of life because the last 10 years have been nothing short of hell. And all starting with my divorce. Right after my divorce, I got cancer. Like, I don't know, was it a year after? Probably a year after. Yeah, it's been hell. It's been real hell. You know, after that cancer, I was diagnosed with severe depression, severe anxiety. Of course I was. Proceeded to live. I rented a tiny little cabin up north and lived in this beautiful place in nature, tiny little cabin. And, you know, when you go on this healing journey, you don't know if you're actually going to heal. Like, you don't know what's going to happen at the end. But all I knew at the time was the only time that I didn't feel tempted to take my own life was when I was in nature. Like, and when I talk about nature, I'm not talking about like 3 minutes out of town. I'm talking about fucking nature. Like, we're so lucky where I live. There's a national park, just a little over an hour away. And it's just the most beautiful place. And you could go to these backwoods places where there are no people. And that's where I would spend my time. And when I was in nature, I felt so good. And then I would come home and it would just all flood back in again, the worries and the fears. And so I didn't decide it. I don't feel like I decide very much in my life. I feel like it's spirit speaking to me. And I just had this incredible, I call them downloads. There was just this incredible download. Like I've shared before, I've been meditating for at least an hour a day since 2016. And during my meditation, at that time I was doing 2 hours a day, I remember. I just, I was told to look at Facebook Marketplace to see if there were places to rent. And I had looked and looked and looked, and there were not places to rent because at the time I was so financially strapped that I couldn't afford to live in my house anymore. I had cashed up my RSPs, like I had lost everything. So anyway, I felt this feeling inside of me to look to see what was for rent. And I saw this ad for this tiny little cabin and I was like, fuck, that would be so perfect. But it was such a scary move. And a couple days later, there was just this really strong voice to look at the ad again. And when I looked at the ad, I recognized the cabin. And it was at my favorite campsite or campground that I used to go to with my kids. And I remember I used to cry at the end of the season because we had to leave the lake, because I am just a nature person. And I've always wanted to live at a lake or in the bush or something. So when we had to come home, I was always so sad, and I would walk through this loop, and this tiny little cabin was right across the street from that campground. So I called and I went and looked at the place. I gave my first and last month's rent, and I rented the tiny little cabin, and 2 days later my house sold. And that was when, like I said, I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything because I was just diagnosed with severe depression, severe anxiety. Um, and so every single day I spent at least an hour in nature. I would do my meditation. I would talk to spirit, God, what I didn't know what it was, but I would talk to it and I would listen to it. And and I started making a little podcast every day. Nobody listened for 5 years, over 5 years now. But every day I spoke out what spirit was speaking to me. I've written 12 books now, and they're all based on what spirit has shown me, spoken to me, how it's led me. Anyway, it was, I can't remember how many months it was. Maybe, I'm trying to think. So 6 months, is that right? I would say it was 6 months that I did this every day. And at that time, I felt like I had healed my severe depression and severe anxiety. Like, I felt really, really good. And interestingly enough, I was doing my meditation one day, and there was a voice, the same voice, told me to check my breasts in the mirror. And I thought, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And the next day it was like, go to the doctor and get this checked. And it ended up being triple negative breast cancer, very fast moving, very aggressive. So that voice saved my life. And that was a very long and very difficult journey. 16 more rounds of chemo, multiple surgeries. Then my mom died. I've gone through motherfucking hell. But what I'm here to share is that same voice that has been leading me through all of this is now leading me into something very exciting. And that is my life starting to fall back into place. I had to go through everything that I went through, otherwise I wouldn't have. Every single challenge has made me so much stronger, so much more resilient. I have more faith than I ever believed I ever could. And now everything that I am doing is working. Like, I'm starting a new podcast, and every single person that I've reached out to has said yes. I have the most incredible lineup of guests that I could even imagine. Being able to sit down and have conversations with these strong, incredible, amazing, soulful people is like a dream come true. I now have one of my best friends is now going to be my manager. I don't even know what to call her, but she is like one of my favorite people on this planet by far. And we get to do this together. We don't even know what the fuck we're doing. But all we know is that we have a lot of fun and we have really good ideas, and what we're here to do is serve humanity. When you get to this place where all you can think about is serving the spirit within, serving, the divine, life starts to make sense and things start to happen. And that's where I feel I am now. It's like, it's time to serve. And so I am just here starting this journey.